So, for everyone joining us, welcome to all of our regulars and anybody that's new. We are Control Camp, a community built for independent artists who want to get their music in TV and film for sync licensing. I'm one of your hosts, Daraj. I'm an indie hip hop artist based out of Orlando, Florida. Joining me are my co hosts, Eric Campbell, producer, writer, composer, along with the amazing Steph Fink, producer, writer, and founder of Music Box, a creative solutions company. And between us, we've had years of experience in the music industry creating songs that have been used in TV and film, and that includes commercials, ads, games, trailers for major brands like ABC, Netflix, Hulu, and Lionsgate, apparently. So we do this particular room every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is also a recorded room, so everyone is aware we do record these rooms, and you can preview it a little later in all of our past rooms. But here we have real conversations with industry gatekeepers. We also do song critiques on our Saturday rooms, and we have Q&As, and we give you just all the tools and what it takes to succeed in sync licensing. There you go, tongue twister. But for all of our resources, visit controlcamp.com. The link is in our bios. If you aren't already, follow our club and stay up to date to all of the new rooms that we have up and coming. And with that said, welcome to the camp. And tonight's room is a really, really special room that we've been building up, hyping up, preparing for, excited about for a number of weeks. And so we're here now. Today is our women's producer spotlight. So we've gotten a chance to just put our heads together and present some of the ladies from our Control Camp family who have just been doing some amazing thing. Really, all of the ladies, in our camp. It was so tough, kind of trying to narrow the submissions down. And if we had unlimited time, we'd be up here just bragging on everybody. But we have a really, really cool lineup that we wanted to share with everybody, and we're going to get into that. I don't want to prolong it any longer, so I'm gonna kick it over to you, Eric. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. And so well, I'm excited for a couple of reasons. It's cool because Daraj, Steph, we talk all the time, and from the very beginning of when Daraj and I started Control Camp, we talked about this to just talk about kind of how we got our syncs and kind of share the knowledge, but um, I was very passionate about just expanding the realm for diverse communities and production. I mean, I've lived in Atlanta for the last 10 years, and so I Atlanta's a place where you go to McDonald's and the other people in line are either rappers or producers. It's like everybody's a rapper or producer. And even with that, I could probably only name 5 to 10 other women that I know who either like produced or engineered, seriously, that I was in the community with or familiar with or aware, with it, 2, 3 hands. And so talking to Steph, talking to Daraj, it became clear that we all like shared passions. Steph's built her whole business and community around building and highlighting diverse communities within the sync space. And so it's just really cool to find like-minded people with similar passions. And then as we opened up the submissions just to see the variety eh, of the producers that we got and the number of producers that we got. So the way that we just ended up doing this, we all agreed as we weren't able to highlight everyone. There's a lot of good talent in the community, which you see if you come out on our Saturday rooms. But we wanted to pick, a few of the producers who covered a range of the production. So from live music production to DJ music to electronic to acoustic pop, like we've got a lot of variety on the stage, and we're really, really proud of that. So before we start, Steph, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the immense talent that came from the room, I was super excited because you've heard me say many times it's, super hard to find female producers. And, really sad statistic from the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative that helped kind of drive me to do what we do in our company is that women producers make up less than 3% of our industry. And that was a very sobering statistic. So, women writers are about 12.6% of the industry. And those include writers like Taylor Swift and Rihanna and, women creators who also get to write and produce. And then those teams are also included within the producer teams, women who are producing on their own records, and it's 2.6%. So not 70-40, not 60-30, not 75-25. It was like a really scary 2.6%. So that is why we kind of went on a quest to find, more women producers. And then in doing this room, especially on the Saturdays, we really started to see women producers stepping up, which is super great. And I wanted to define, producers. Producers are not just beat makers. Producers are people who can fully form musical ideas. There's a big difference. There's plenty of people who can make beats that are great. They're also a producer, to say, not to take anything away from them. But there are a lot of women and BIPOC producers who don't consider themselves producers, who really are. They're the people who have a full vision for a song that make it come together, even in hiring that engineer or the person to execute those visions for them. So we tried to find 5 examples of women who are kind of kicking it in our club and really doing their thing in different genres to highlight some of them tonight. So no more of me, more of them.
All
Let's
right.
kick it.
So we got 5 people that we're highlighting. We're going to bring them to the stage. Going to uh, play a snippet of the music so that you can see uh, what we see, and then we're just going to have a discussion have a discussion. So first, let's bring up Von D, who, if you've been in our Saturday rooms, you are very familiar with. Very dope producer, also a DJ. Lots of releases in 2020, so very prolific. Vondi, how are you doing?
Hey, hello everyone. Thanks for having me here and for the beautiful introduction. It's always a pleasure to come to you guys' rooms.
Oh, glad to have you here. I know it's very early in the morning. What is it, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.?
Yeah, it's midnight, but to be honest, I sleep really late. I work late, so these rooms work perfectly for me.
Awesome. All right, so let's play a little. I'm going to play a little of one of your songs so everybody can hear what you got. Hold on a sec.
If you're playing the one that's Tokyo Bounce, you have to lower the volume because that one is really, really loud.
It is loud, but I got you.
Turn up, turn up. Let's get it. Blow the speaker.
All right, that is the amazing Von D. Next, we're going to bring up Kristen Allen Farmer, also known as Dream Tonic.
How's it going? Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. Okay, so Kristen's classically trained pianist, began to learn music production a couple years ago, started focusing on sync licensing about a year ago. As I said, her artist name is Dream Tonic. We're going to talk about this in the room, but the COVID and pandemic has been really challenging because she's a mom homeschooling two children full time. But with that, she's still an amazing producer with a very cool chill wave down tempo sound. And I want you to take a listen. Ellen Farmer, aka Dream Tonic. All right. Next, we're bringing up Joe McKenzie.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, Joe. Glad to have you here. So, Joe, you're 17. That's correct.
Yeah.
Joe is 17-year-old producer, pop contemporary producer. Has been producing music in her bedroom since she was 11. Does mostly indie pop, but she loves all genres. She's open to collaborating, and you can follow her on social media at the Joe McKenzie. Joe is just J-O. And let's listen.
Mornings are boring till you walk out. How good it feels when you are just around. I see you, I'm see-through, the words in my mouth, but I'll keep it in, no, won't make a sound. 'Cause here I am again, staring at the internet, looking up your name and you're looking with a cigarette. But you got other friends, I know where the story ends. I'll see you tomorrow, and if you get we ever met, or maybe we could love one another. Drop to my house, come meet my mother, but I don't have you. You're stunning and cunning, I'm so below. You look like Nancy's.
That is Joe McKenzie. All right. Next, we are bringing up Angela Johnson.
Hello.
Hey, Angela, good to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How is everybody?
Doing very well, very well. So
Thank you for having me.
Angela is a singer, songwriter, producer, and a recording artist based in Newark, New Jersey. She's released 6 solo albums, had numerous chart-topping singles as the featured vocalist in the house music world. She's been focused lately on being a film composer. Recently secured her first film score for TV1. Congratulations, that is
Yay.
Amazing. We're going to
Thank
talk
you.
more about that later when we get into the
Thanks so
discussion.
much.
She's also been entering into film score competitions. She's had numerous high-profile syncs like The Wire, Oz, The Mindy Project, and commercials for Nissan and AT&T. I'm going to play. I'm going to play the snippet of the Serena piece because I love this.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Say it's a distraction from their game, as if they know better than you how your bones should wear your body, how you should dress up in your own skin. They don't know why your hair needs extra bobby pins, how you got the biggest booty in tennis, something about Compton and collard greens. They'll not be graceful with your body, but you will always have to be. When they put you against your own sister, she'll sharpen you. Passerbyers will attack your character. Serena smashes racket, point penalty, violation. How will she ever come back from this one? She is too aggressive. She has gone too far with her clothing. How can Serena possibly regroup from this? Fight back. Women do not yell. Women do not take their shirts off. Serena loses match and it's fine. $17,000. We cannot allow her to get too out of control. Women are not allowed real emotion in tennis. In the street, in the office, in their clothing, in their skin. Serena, more power, Serena, use more power. Backhand, Serena. More follow through, take the net, Serena, beat back like you want to win.
That is so powerful. That is Angela Johnson. And then last but not least, we're going to bring up, wait, let me see if I see, where is she? I'm looking for Tiffany. Is she in there?
She's there.
Oh, there she goes.
Second row.
I see her.
I just invited.
Tiffany Duquette. Hey, Tiffany, is your last name pronounced Duquette?
Oh my god, that's so cute.
But-
Either Ducet or Ducette.
Ducette.
Like Americans say Ducette and French say Ducet.
We'll say
So it's
Ducette.
up to you.
Say how you say it. Okay, awesome. So Let me pull up Tiffany. All right, so Tiffany's a multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, actress, former dancer. Actually, was in LA and was performing on the streets and being a full-time musician. Back in France, with COVID started, and she's been in our room playing music both in English, but also playing a lot of really awesome French songs or songs sung in French. And yeah, I'm gonna play part of Ocean Blue. It's in French.
In the ocean blue, entendez-vous the restless melody breaking through the blue, quiet rendezvous. Can you hear me calling, calling the blue, quiet rendezvous. Can you hear me calling you?
That's Tiffany Doucet.
Thanks for having me. Super honored.
So glad to have you. You're also amazingly talented, and I think it's a cool representation of just the talent and the camp, and that you're all so different. You cover so many different grounds, and so we're just honored to have you. We're honored to have you on stage. Honored that you're part of the camp, and just awesome that you're here. All right, so we're just going to jump in. We're going to bounce around with some different questions and just have a discussion. Some of the questions will be directed individually, and some will just be open discussion. So feel free to jump in if you have a thought or you want to just add to the discussion. So let's start with the general question. Describe the moment or the period of time when you fully claimed the title of producer. What was that moment for you? Anybody can jump in first.
For me, it was probably this past summer when I guess kind of we were in quarantine, and I really just decided to just like get a lot better at producing. I use Live, and I had switched from Logic for really no reason because they're both the same, but I love Live. And I just decided to, really get to know it better, and to really make the kind of songs that I was hearing in my head and that I wanted to have in real life that I wasn't hearing that I wanted. And that kind of like pushed me to become a better producer so I could create those sounds in my head.
I love that. Who else?
Yeah, I think for me it was actually pretty recently when I finally accepted, okay, maybe I'm a producer. I recently joined Producer Dojo, which is Il Gates. He's kind of like the godfather of bass music. I joined his whole crew, and I was lucky enough to get my music in front of him. And, I played him a bunch of tracks that I produced solely on my own. And he's like, let's put these out. Let's get this EP out. And then I was like, okay, if he likes that, maybe I am a producer, and, I have so much to learn, so far to go, but I have finally accepted that, yes, in order to get the sounds out in my head, I am dedicated to this path as producer.
I love that. Angela?
If I could, yeah. Well, my story is a little bit different. I actually went to school as a violin major for the first 2 years, and I did more writing songs than actually practicing scales and whatnot. So I decided my last 2 years I was going to switch over to studio production. And yeah, I was pretty much thinking that this was the path that was right for me. So I was working with a band at the time, and we left school before we all graduated. And I also thought that maybe I would create, an album for myself to kind of establish myself as a singer-songwriter and as well as a producer. So when I started my album, I was looking for other producers to come and work with me on the album. And they all cost too much, and I just had to figure out something else. So I was like, well, let me, really put my foot in this and, establish myself as someone who is self-contained and can kind of, create music for myself and for my entire album. So yeah, that's pretty much when I felt like I was established as a producer. And from then and on, I've been producing my own records pretty much like 95% of my albums with a guest producer here and there. But yeah, it's been all me.
That is amazing. Vondi or Tiffany?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah. Well, I think there was two different stage of I would say three different. First, discovering what a producer is. When I made my first album, I didn't know I could work with someone and like make my ideas come into life. And then I realized that I had a lot of ideas, and sometimes I wanted to like direct everything. And when I did my EP, I actually became the producer, but I didn't really know because I was always like, saying, okay, I want this. I have all in my head. Whenever I write a song, I had all this stuff in my head. And also being in the studio is my favorite place to be. But as everybody says, it's really expensive to be in the studio. So I always say my dream is not to be famous or whatever, is to have enough money and fans to be in the studio whenever I want. And then I think COVID and also this camp, when staff say, hey, you're a producer if you're directing everything. And there was both things came into place because with COVID, I started like producing at home, and I was making things. And even if I finished, for example, Ocean Blue, I started at home, and I finished it remotely with David, who produced my EP, who co-produced my EP. But I finished with him, but there was all my ideas, and it was exactly how I was seeing it, and it was very amazing to do that. And then I found, like, now I just came back from recording 3 songs, but that I produce home, and the fact that I can produce home, it makes everything so much clearer. And also I found ideas that I wouldn't have found just having someone do it for me. So it was really recently that I realized that, yeah, I'm a producer, and I want to keep doing that and go further into it.
Love that. And I want to come back after we talk to Vondi. I want to come back to what you said, Tiffany, because I want Steph to talk just a little also about that whole thing of creating the idea. And she says this all the time. I said it in the beginning, but I want to circle back to that. But let's Vondi, what's your thoughts on this? When was the moment for you?
So my story is probably a little bit different than anyone because I always wanted to be involved in music, like since I was little. And because I do not know how to sing, I mean, I know enough to like guide my artists, like, but my voice is like, well, I'm not a singer. Let's just put it like that. So I had to make ways of like going into the music industry. So I started making music when I was like 14, and then I wanted to be a DJ because there was all these house craze like going around the world. Was when the big house DJs was like giving shows on and everything, and I was seeing it at school, and I was like, I need to make music. I need to make like music to allow me to go play at these big events and whatnot. So I started making music, and I got invites to play at these shows. So I toured Portugal, and I went a little bit around Europe, Spain as well. And then my gigs like stopped like around like not even Corona like and COVID like there, but like I guess it was like around 2016. that I really focused on like being the best producer that I could possibly be, because then I could go into any space and like gain the respect from the music I was making. That was, I think 2016 was when I really made the switch of like I'm gonna focus like 100% on my music, and I'm gonna meet artists, and I'm gonna develop their product, and I'm gonna develop their brand and their sound, and I'm gonna really make this like my goal. Because up until that point, like I was a good producer, but I was making music for myself, and I think I became like a better producer when I started making music for other people and telling other people's stories. So I could be with anyone from like any background and like any artist in the world that I got into the studio with, and I would be able to tell their story. And I think like the really big turning point was when I started showing my music like to my mom and to my grandma and to my grandfather, and they like all liked it. So that was the huge turning point, like for me, like okay, this is turning and this is looking good, so I want to keep doing this and moving forward. So yeah, that's my story.
That's an amazing story, Vondi. It's just, um, yeah, I totally relate to the learning to produce better by telling other people's stories. I love how you express that. Very cool. Steph, can I pass to you for just also doubling back on what Tiffany said? Just I mean, everybody's story is different, but Tiffany's not the first person that's expressed in our camp about um, having ideas, wanting to be able to communicate that ideas, but still, not sure about owning the title of um, producer. And that's something else Tiffany said that struck me is as she was owning that title, she also then took it upon the onus, like, I have to really, really get good at this. Like, it's like the ownership and then the craftsmanship both kind of like had feedback on each other. So, any more thoughts on that, Steph?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the history of music and producers that we were coming up and before, it's really only in contemporary music that we started doing this thing where we called producers people who make tracks, right? Where things were so separated out, where it's like if you make the beat, you're the producer. And a lot of other people got lost in that mix because there's also, especially with a lot of women and BIPOC creators, people who are even vocal producing and just doing that. That's a huge part of production, but they're not getting that credit. They're not being taught to take that credit. But if you look at the history of music, before we had kind of Pro Tools and before we were really making like beats like that, producers were sadly mostly men, but really great men, in a room, and some great women, but mostly men in a room. I bring that up because it's Women's History Month, and the room that we're in, because it's only now also changing where we do have lead female producers. They were the people who pulled it all together. So you're the leader of the project. You are not the financial person. You might have handled budgets and like that with the EP of the record to say, hey, I'm going to hire this. This is the sound I want to craft with your band or with your act or with your singer. If you're an Aretha or if you're a Stevie or if you're a rock band, if you're the Beatles, the producer was charged with really helping the band or that act craft their sound to determine what that sound was supposed to be. And actually, I loved what Von D said about that. You get better at it learning to do it for other people because that's what producers do. And of course you can produce for yourself, but that's what the best producers did. Some of the best producers were not musicians even, which is kind of nuts, but they're really great managers who knew how to bring people together, and really great music directors and team leaders who could do all of those skills and bring them together. A lot of them never got behind a board. That's the difference of production and also engineering, so I hear a lot of the gals on the stage tonight saying, I had to get better at producing, when I know that they actually mean I felt I needed to get better at engineering and actually tactile, putting your hands to the DAW and being in that system, when a lot of you are probably great producers and didn't know it already. Having that great idea, having that vision, calling the people, calling the engineer, calling the musicians, putting those things together and being the producer. So, I really love that we're having this conversation and kind of bringing it to light. And Tiffany really touched on it. And Angela, you know, what you said about kind of, actually, almost everybody touched on this. Women, I think, more start to become producers out of necessity. And I actually think that they're really becoming engineers out of necessity versus producer. I want to kind of reiterate that. It's very clear with the vision that all of the women in this room have, and that's part of why you were chosen. You're all really great producers. You know, it's more about your learning, you know, to kind of take that to the next level and be the best producer you could be by being able to engineer and to communicate and learn the language and to be able to communicate better as a producer. So super proud of everyone on the stage and love hearing your kind of stories of how you got to that place.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt a little bit? No, I just wanted to thank Steph I wanted to thank Steph for saying that, because back in the day, without giving my age, I definitely felt the need to always stress that I had produced the beats myself when my management is standing around me, or a bunch of men standing around me, producers. And I would have to state that, no, I've done this from the ground up, creating this song or this track. And it's unfortunate that I had to fix my mouth to say or voice that I had created the beats. But it's more than just that. Yes, management is a big thing when it comes to being a producer. You are managing the whole creation that you have within your head and trying to relay that to someone else who doesn't have that vision or is not hearing exactly what you're thinking or hearing in your ears. And a lot of experience has come with just trying it out, working it out in the studio. And it has forced me to build a studio within my home where I can actually just iron out all of the wrinkles and figure out all of the things that I have learned being in different studios and watching other producers and arrangers figure out things and ask questions all the time. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people knew that whenever I have to stress myself or stress out that I'm getting nervous here, but
oh no, you're
it's just that
you're doing great.
No, because I can go on and on about this subject, but I always had to stress that I produce beats. I actually play keys. Yes, I play the violin, and I can apply this and I actually create music on my DAW. And it's just that, sometimes I have to say it several times, but I like it the way that it is coming to be, where I don't have to express that anymore. I could just say that I'm a producer, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm creating beats on my drum machine, but I'm actually calling the shots and calling people to play horns or guitar or bass, because I don't play all these instruments. I do need help, and I would want that that musician to actually use their gifts and add to what my vision that I have. And so but it's a huge teaching moment for me as far as managing things and using time and wisdom throughout this whole process. But anyone can just add on to that, but I just wanted to get out there.
Yeah, no, round of applause for all the ladies here. Like, I mean, from what we've already heard, and even, the bits of your story that we don't know, like, it's just really encouraging to kind of see, the skill, the resilience, against all odds, or, any, outside, forces or influences, like, we all are still here. And you all have, continued to just rise above and continue to push. So just round of applause for all the ladies. I mean, we're just really, really proud, here and celebratory of, the ladies within the camp, and even, beyond. But I'm gonna do a quick reset before we jump back into the questions. I just saw a text. Yeah, go ahead, cut in. So, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to speak to something that Angela said before we get too far off this topic. It works both ways too. And in my 20 some plus years now, you're going to know that I'm really old in this industry. It took me until really this year to kind of notice that it's different for women than it is for men in terms of what we say, because not only do you not have to or shouldn't have to just explain that you're making the beats or things like that. For me, it was the opposite, where I had to explain, hey, I'm not making that beat, but I'm still your producer. I'm still the one, putting this whole project together and creating that vision and delivering to that vision and delivering on that budget. Because especially when you're talking about delivering for sync, that's a whole other level of delivery that a producer is responsible for. But it took me to look at people like Quincy, our mentor, and people like Harvey Mason, who I love. Those guys are never sitting at a board, doing something. They're directing things. They've got a whole team of people doing stuff. And it's interesting. No one would ever question them in a room saying, are you producing something, if they're not sitting there making a track to something. So I think I just want to raise that to the room, tonight, as a point to think about when you're thinking about, women producers and, the definition of producer. So I just want to, stick that in everybody's cap to think about for tonight.
Well said, Steph. I didn't know where the stick that was going.
It's not late enough for me to start talking like I'm from New York. We're okay.
Yeah, that was me. That was on me that time, Steph. All right, so great conversation. For everyone just joining us, welcome. We are Control Camp. Here we are a community built for independent artists, producers, composers, writers who are wanting to get their music into TV and film for sync licensing. I'm one of your hosts, Daraj. I'm an indie hip hop artist and producer based out of Orlando, Florida. Joining me are my co-hosts, Eric Campbell, producer, writer, and composer, along with Steph Fink, producer, writer, and founder of Music Box, creative solutions company. We do this room every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we like to bring in industry professionals, gatekeepers who have just had success in this space. We like to do a Q&A time with them to find out what it really takes to succeed, what they're looking for, what their respective roles look like, and also give a time for our audience to ask the questions that they have. We really wanted to create a space to help, bring the pieces together and empower everyone who is wanting to understand what it takes to succeed and build a career in this side of the industry, which we call sync licensing. So that's what we do here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. We've also created a lot of resources on our website, controlcamp.com. All of our past rooms that we've recorded are there as well. In addition, this room is recorded. So if you're interested in any of the past topics that we've covered, be it songwriting themes for sync licensing, how to get your song placed, interviews from different music supervisors and agents, all of those exist on our website. So you can swing over there. And if you aren't already, follow our club, Control Camp, to stay up to date with any new rooms. And with that said, welcome to the camp. And tonight's room is a little different from our normal scheduled programming. We have a really cool time here where we're wanting to spotlight some of the women producers who are within Control Camp here. And we've been having a really amazing discussion, understanding these ladies' journey in music, how they got there, future insights, and just more deeply understanding who they are as creators. And so we want to get back into the Q&A. And if it's cool, Eric actually wanted to throw out a question to the ladies. As we were talking, I was curious, since, off of the topic conversation we just came off of, were there any obstacles, be it external or even internal, that you had to overcome in your journey as a producer? And this is open-ended to anybody on the panel.
I'll go first if you don't mind. I think I came to the point where it became necessary for me to learn how to produce, simply because it became painful for me to not produce, in that I had so much music swimming around in my head that it was like I became resentful of the fact that I had so much music in my head and I didn't know how to get it out. that, you know, one of the obstacles I encountered was my fear of technology. You know, I've been a musician since I was a little girl. I used to actually create my own invented graphic notation to compose my own songs when I was 6 before I learned how to read music. I was that much of a, you know, this has been in my blood for my entire life. You know, fast forward, you know, to where I am now, and I think the fear of technology, when I really got honest with myself, that was what was holding me back. It wasn't for lack of ideas. It wasn't for lack of dedication. It was the fear of technology. It's like, I joke with my husband, I have like super bad karma when it comes to computers and stuff, because like they always just don't work when I'm around them. So
That's a real thing, by the way. That is a, you know,
it's
a
so
real thing.
true. Yeah, and so I just kind of accepted, like, I'm going to have to work harder than most people. I'm going to have to like work my butt off, and like if that's what it's going to take in order to not feel resentful or pained by the fact that I'm not making the music in my head, like, so be it. Um so I just want to throw out there that like the technology was definitely an obstacle for me, and I feel, you know, that much more committed to learning it, you know, because of my dedication to my craft. So
Love that. Thank you so much. Anybody else as well?
Yeah. I don't know if I have enough time to tell you all of my obstacles. I do remember there was a time when I was carrying my daughter, who's 17 now, but at the time I kind of had to hide my pregnancy throughout the whole entire time. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to get work if anyone had known that I was pregnant at the time. And I was working right up until the night before my daughter was delivered. I remember being in the studio the night before my daughter was born, having to record for this Nissan commercial. I had to do some vocals. We covered the song Revolution by the Beatles, and I had to do it for a Japanese Nissan commercial. And my daughter decided to come the next day, so I was in labor throughout the whole time of recording the vocals. But the way that we were recording was virtually. The producers were actually in California, in LA, and I was here in New York, and they were trying to get me to travel to LA to record vocals, and I was telling them, no, I have this medical issue. I need to stay home in New York. So we ended up recording this song in New York. I had a engineer that was with me, and unfortunately he spoke Japanese. I'm terrible at it. And he was relaying all the information that I need to get to the producers in LA to actually record this song. But I just want to make this story short, but it was very difficult to be able to kind of, work with them, because I was producing my own vocals aside from them telling me exactly what they want and what they need, and how to translate that from the engineer who's trying to translate for me. So there was a lot of going back and forth, and my daughter just couldn't really wait much longer. So, but those are things that a lot of women in the business have to deal with. Being a mother, being someone who is not exactly as free as our male counterparts to be able to travel or do things, at the call of something that needs to be done right away. So those are things that you have to be, put in perspective, what has to get done, and how much can you push yourself. And I am constantly, as a woman, pushing myself, because I feel like I need to show everything that I got, and to take it the next 2 levels, just to prove of myself. And, I wish that it didn't have to be that way, but it comes with the territory, and it definitely helps me to grow as an individual, personally, and of course, professionally. But I don't know if anybody can relate to something like that.
Can we just unpack that for a second? Angela just said, as a producer, she was dealing with, first of all, my head just exploded in how much you went through to kind of do what you did. You had, remote recording, which is never easy, producers in another location. You had a language barrier that you're dealing with. Again, something being able to handle those two things alone as a producer are difficult things, and probably what make you good at what you do. And then you were, did I get this right, in labor while you were singing?
Yes, yes. It's surreal. My husband was there with me, of course, and we were just really worried about me being able to get through this because I just left out this tiny little detail. At the very end, when my husband brought me home and, I was calling my midwife to tell her that, I think I'm ready to come in. My husband gets a call from the engineer that I was recording with, and he received a call that the producers in LA had lost the song. They lost all the tracks. I don't know what happened, but he didn't tell me until after I delivered my daughter. But luckily, they did. My engineer here in New York was able to recover all of the files and was able to send it back over. Thank God for that, because that just it would have been a mess. That's all I can say. I'm trying to minimize it, but it was crazy.
Yeah, but note that with all of those obstacles, you still got the job done. I mean, I have producers, I have people that are even my team, and I love them dearly. This is the difference sometimes between men and women. I'm sorry that I have producers that are like, I didn't eat lunch, I'm going to die. And I'm like, you're over here like, I'm in labor, I'm trying to learn, you're like, I'm trying to speak Japanese, I'm doing a remote record. And it's like, women, we get the job done. That's
right.
That's what I say about that one.
I mean, and but in all fairness, did she eat lunch though? I mean, that's a real good question.
That's true. Were you working on a full stomach? And I saw Joe kind of flashing your mic, and we all should have flashed for. You said, you kind of, it's par for the course. You have to work twice, or if not 3 times harder, to kind of accomplish the same thing, in a room walk in, because the expectations are different.
Absolutely.
So something sadly to this day, which is, still the same thing. It's still happening, but hopefully the tides are turning with conversations like this. So I love that you brought that up. And hopefully for Joe's generation, it's, even the fact that Joe at her age of 17, has all of this technology, and the ability to kind of do it at home. We were not, again, especially with Angela and I, didn't have those resources and stuff. I'd be curious to know where you all learn how to, I think, Kristen was speaking to this before. What are some of your resources that you're using to teach yourself? Because, are you learning from other people? Are you using the internet? Like, I'm a big fan of YouTube, but I also have people on my team who teach me stuff. I'm curious of where you're kind of learning, on the job or, in the world with.
I wanted to, sorry, I wanted to respond to the other question and go from there to that thing also.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Because about the difficulties, and it will go to what you asked Steph about learning. But so I see 3 difficulties for me as a producer. Is the first one is to have Tiffany the producer and Tiffany the manager and business person handling the career, and sometimes it's hard to have both exist together and find time for both of them, and most of the time the businesswoman takes over. So my difficulty is to really focus on creating, so that's one difficulty. And the second and third that I've been going through is I learned producing watching really great producer. I was so lucky to work with the most really amazing producer right away, and I learned watching them. And my difficulty came when I started doing my own thing, learning on YouTube. So YouTube is my best friend when I face difficulties, but I would always laugh at myself because sometimes I spend 2 hours on something and I'm like, oh damn, David would take 5 seconds to do this, and I'm like, oh, but it's okay. But YouTube is always saving me in some ways. I have also a book about logic. I also love the fact that I don't know everything, so I try to go around, and sometimes going around only figuring out with only what I have, it makes me find super cool shit. It's hard for me to stop listening to all the sounds that I can have on one thing because there's so much stuff. Also, sometimes I love doing things in real instruments. So, I rather have a pad than searching on the computer, so sometimes I spend time on that. But that went to my third difficulty that I went through last week, actually, because I went in the studio with my demos. So the guy took my demos in his computer, and I found him on the net, and I go with my guts, and I think, yeah, this guy's gonna be great for me. So he was more modern, and but I was really the producer. But this guy didn't expect having a woman coming in, like producing her whole thing. He told me at the end, he was like, "Oh my god, usually artists they sit down and they let me do everything." So I had to go through this thing where I had to, like, how do I say my IDs? And sometimes I miss technical stuff, but I know that this is possible because I did it with my other producer. I saw him doing it, and I know it's my voice can be like this, and I know that. So it was really funny to like have to go through this, and it was a really good lesson for me because I say, okay, Tiffany, now you need to learn how to say how you want things, and also look into more technical, because the fact that I do my sound even live, also performing, I know how I want it, I know how to say it, but I was feeling a bit of like, oh, I'm a man and I know better, blah, blah, blah. So it was like a bit of a little fight. And I guess French guys, we're more straightforward. Like, it's true, like French people, we talk really more straightforward. So we had a bit of a, and at the end it was amazing. We did really great job. But yeah, at the first day I had to go home and say, like, oh yeah, Tiffany, just take a breath. You're gonna go through it. This guy is good, but we need to, like, you need to learn how to talk and how to say what you want, blah blah blah. So that was the difficulty that I went through last week, but it came out really great. But yeah.
But that's amazing. It sounds like you found a way to communicate with him. And I think you're kind of straightforward Frenchness, kind of, I'm a New Yorker, I can relate. We're also pretty straightforward. I find that, it's hard to not want to give up in those situations, but it's really great when you can just be straightforward. If you can be straightforward and communicate, oftentimes people will come around. And I find that the people that don't come around are usually not your people, and you should just find new people then. But you should be able to just communicate with the people that you're working with, and that be the litmus test.
This is such an awesome set of questions. It makes me think. I think as I'm thinking like 5 different thoughts at the same time because there's so many cool points came up. But the one I want to drill in on is this thing of like speaking out, because we're the stewards of our visions, and that's that's the whole thing of production. Like as Steph said, regardless of what you're technically doing, the stewardship of the vision, controlling it, managing it, and it's not really controlling, because I think part of that discussion is when you're bringing in other people, trying to find that balance between holding on to the vision, managing the vision, letting certain aspects of the vision slip away because another person that you've let into the process has a different perspective. And so trying to find that balance between, one, speaking up for yourself, speaking up for the vision, but also, allowing other people's voices to change your vision. Anybody want to talk to just the learning process on how to navigate that, just navigating that whole, where the line is and where the balance, any experiences you want to share or perspective?
I think, sorry, can I think for me, working with someone has always been like the best thing ever. Like I love doing my own thing at home, but I love the fact that, as you said, someone is gonna come in and say, wait, maybe this, or maybe you're gonna say something, but the way you thought, the technical stuff would come out. Like, for example, I don't know, you want this to open up, and maybe you hear, oh, maybe I would put some strings, and then the person say, well, but what about this? And then it's like an idea that comes all together with two people, mind or imagination. So I think working with other people is the great things. But it's true, like when you start, for example, for me, the process of like putting a song in my computer and started recording it, and then sit on it, and then I don't know, I go for a run, I hear a song, and then I said, oh my god, how about this? Just the time frame between that moment and the other, that's what it is to be that's the luxury of being a producer, because when you go in the room with someone, you have to do it faster, so sometimes not everything comes at the same time. So I would say that the fact that you can still bring your idea and having someone else with you, I think it's very great not to do everything always alone, because those people have also magic in their hands, and they have visions, and all together it can only bring the song like an a higher level when there's 2-3 people on that.
And I, if you don't mind, I'd love to go back and address the, resources, like how do you learn what you learn? And so, as all of us know, there's an overwhelming sea of information out there. It's just super overwhelming. When I got started, I just took LinkedIn learning courses, on Ableton, and that kind of got me started on a path. And then I started working with, he's actually in the audience, Hedman Briseño. He actually helped co-produce the track you heard tonight. And taking one-on-one lessons with him has been so incredibly helpful, and I highly recommend that. And, YouTube, obviously, we all know that. That's an amazing resource just to, pick and choose what are you going to focus on and practice that. And then also, recently I joined this producer dojo through Il Gates, and that is an extremely organized Ableton specific dojo where you have, sessions one-on-one with they call them senseis, and they kind of help direct you what videos to watch, what to focus on, what are you going to practice this week, and then go back and show them what you've done. And so I think the one-on-one thing is like so key. So that was kind of part of my process. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That is great. Steph, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, as Tiffany was talking about this, a long time ago, Quincy said to me, songs are like real estate, and I'm a big fan of analogies. And, a great way to think about being a producer is like being a GC on the project. You don't expect your general contractor. You expect your general contractor to have a knowledge of how to build a house and to work with the architect to build those blueprints for that house, right? And then you hire some contractors of a plumber or a tile guy, and see, even then I'm being sexist. See, I said tile guy, a tiler, is that maybe? But you hire the experts in their fields to do those things. But that general contractor has a knowledge and of that vision and keeps everybody on track to do those things. And I think, Tiffany, you kind of just, expressed that beautifully. That's what a good producer does, is be able to take all of those collaborators, and you can also change that vision midway. And those people who are working with you might have someone who might say, hey, the wall's great here, but if you knock this down, I can build this. And wouldn't that be great if we can open this up and do that? And you can listen to those and you can change the plans for your house. But it's great to have that person in charge who is always kind of keeping things together. And that's really what the producer hat was. And I wish I had thought of this years ago. It's like my favorite new analogy. But that's, Tiffany, I think, in the spirit of collaboration and, all those things, you can learn from all those things. And I think if you all, and at least I will from now on going forward, think about yourselves as the general contractors of your project and allow yourself to get inspired by those people around you. It's much easier than, I think, sometimes as women too. At least with me, I can say I've made this, we'll call it, mistake in my career before I learned it. We're always kind of having to vie for position a little harder, than our male counterparts sometimes. So I think this is, a good way to understand allowing other collaborators to come in doesn't really take away from what you do.
Yeah, I think as you were, that's a great analogy too. I feel smarter as well, because without hearing Quincy, that's one of the things that I've always compared music as well to real estate. But as you were talking though, it reminded me of, I feel like the skill set for like a great producer is kind of what you also look for in a great leader. Just in a broader capacity, because great leaders have the ability to inspire others, for a collective goal, but also know how to navigate multiple voices and pull on other people's strengths. Like a leader is not someone who has to, be laying down every, brick, what I mean? So to say, like they know and identify the skill sets in others, and, bring all those parts together harmoniously. And so I think, in the same way, a producer, is a leader, and a leader, can be a great producer or whatever. But yeah, this is really, really good stuff. I'm gonna do a quick reset. I want to keep the conversation going. For everyone joining us, welcome to Control Camp. Good Lord, welcome to Control Camp. We are a community built for independent artists, composers, producers, and all of the above, wanting to get their music in TV and film, and for sync licensing. I'm one of your hosts, Raj. I'm an indie hip hop artist based out of Orlando, Florida. Joining me are my co-hosts, Eric Campbell, who's a producer, writer, composer, along with Steph Fink, who is producer, writer, and founder of Music Box, a creative solutions company. We do this room every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we have real conversations with industry gatekeepers. And this room is a little different from our norm. We're doing a spotlight on some of the amazing, just a fraction of the amazing women producers that we have here in the camp. And so it's been such an honor to talk with all of the ladies here. And so stay tuned. We're going to get into some more questions. And if you've missed the conversation, don't worry. We record our rooms. And so this talk will be available on our website, controlcamp.com. If you go to our Sync 101 page, there, it'll direct you to our Patreon, where all of our past rooms exist, as well as PDF resources for those who are looking to get deeper into sync licensing. And so we've made that available for anybody who's looking to just really build in this space. In addition, we just want to plug our after parties that we do after our Wednesday room. So we have our room here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. We go for about 2 hours. Then around 10 o'clock, sometimes we run a little bit over, but around 10 o'clock, we start the after party, which is available exclusively for Control Camp members. So if you aren't following us, make sure you go to either one of our profiles, or right up here at the top left, you can click on Control Camp and just follow our club, and you'll be able to connect with us there. The after party is a lot, looser of a moderation. It's kind of unmoderated in a sense. We just bring whoever wants to kind of talk. It's a chance where we don't really talk much about music. It's more so just to kind of get to know one another, hang out, kick it, and all that fun stuff. So join us after this room for the after party. Yeah, and with that said, welcome to the camp. And I'm going to kick it back over to Eric to keep this conversation going.
Cool. This is awesome. All right, let's shift gears. Totally different question. Some of you have already mentioned 2020 and the pandemic, but I just want to open it back up because for some people, the pandemic may have increased their creativity. For some people, the creativity was hindered. Give me your personal take on how 2020 affected your creativity, and where how you're addressing that positively or negatively, how you're dealing with that now.
For me, I felt like the pandemic, as bad as it was also bad as it is. It also kind of just gave me this weird perspective on the world. Like the world wasn't real anymore. Like I didn't have any responsibilities to, meet people, go to meetings, or, kind of be the person that everyone expects you to be. And I could be anyone I wanted, because there was going to be no like face-to-face confrontation if someone's like, oh, you did this, or like you weren't like doing that normal pop thing that you do. You were doing this like rap thing or whatever. And it kind of felt like creativity without fear of pushing the boundary too far. And I feel like that's all just a personal thing, like fear of failure, or like kind of doing something out of my bounds. But I also think that's probably something a lot of women in particular can relate to, because as we're just like, as we grow up, we're already put into boxes of what we should be and, what we should do. And so it was just kind of nice to be in my room and just kind of listen to music and get to be whoever I wanted to be for the first time in a long time.
Joe is absolutely right. I feel like there was a reset for the whole world, like at the same time. And suddenly we didn't have to like match everyone else's expectations, just our own, right? So it's kind of weird to see like major artists, they're kind of like at the same level that we are all now, right? Like independent artists and major artists, we're all in our houses, so we have the time to create, and that's the most important thing. And I'm taking this time to create with some of the artists that I work with, and I'm making a debut album for one of my artists as well. And that's been my project this year, alongside with like the things I already do and did before, like besides music production, which is like designing and video production. And also like I started making Instagram filters, and I love making music. That's my favorite thing in the world, but not always I have the mental space to be making music. So I like to diversify like the activities I do, like if even if that's like cooking a meal or something, because then when I come back to making music, I feel that everything is in the right place and my frequency is right and I can make good music again. So yeah, that's how I feel like 2020 like affected like the whole like creative aura of the world, if I could say that.
Yeah, I jump on it. For me, it was, I don't think it was about expectations, but it was more about like finally like I'm a live performer for like I perform live so much. I do a lot of gigs. Like basically I earn a living in New York playing, I don't know, covers in private events, weddings, whatever it is. Um to earn the money than to spend it on the studio going with other producers and make my music. So the funny thing is I bought this great mic and a computer and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna make my album. And then I met those producers that were amazing, and I ended up doing everything with them. So basically the material was sitting in my room forever, and I kept having all those gigs. And the 2 last years before COVID were crazy. And I remember sitting in my room like in January, and I was like, I don't know, I'm a bit overwhelmed. I was a bit lost. And when COVID came, I I was a bit scared to what happened. And there was two guys in my apartment. We were a very small space. I was like, you know what? I took the all the gear. I didn't take any clothes. I took the gear, two jeans, and I was like, I'm gonna go back to France in my mom's house, and I'm just gonna bring everything. So basically, I went home, and it's been a year now. But finally, you know, I set up everything. I opened up back my keyboard that I haven't touched forever because I was playing mostly guitar. I managed to bring a harp at home because I was a harpist before, and I wanted to start again. And I kept playing live though because I play a lot of live stream, but I use those live stream to go back to be a pianist and to, I bought a loop pedal. So basically I was still playing live, and that fed my soul because I need to, play music for people. And that, but I used it to improve my skills. And then on the side of it, having my studio and everything. So right now that's you know that's what changed for me. It was really to take the time to create finally and stop always playing live all the time. So now that's the opposite I'm facing. Is now if things open back up, I'm like, do I want to go back to this life, or or do I really want to be creative first? Like, so that's what I'm actually asking myself right now about, because things are opening back up in New York and people calling me. I was like, yeah, come back, these restaurants have needs to people to play. And I'm like, guys, I don't know if this is what I want. So that's what happened for me in COVID, and I love it. It's just a bit now I'm a bit lost about the rest of it, like how it's gonna happen. But yeah, that's what happened.
That is so it's so amazing. And I just The problem I have, Tiffany, is that I'm looking at when we ask all of you guys to send us um, just kind of a couple of sentences about yourself or something interesting. Nowhere in your thing, Tiffany, did it say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a harpist." Like that was just that fact was
Eric and
like
I lit up for that. We were like, she's gonna just casually drop. I also love to play the harp.
Guys, I'm gonna bring a song Saturday, and I recorded harp on it. It's like, it's a new song, but I'm super
We're
excited
here
about
for
it.
very cool. So before we get off, I don't want to get off that. I want to because Kristen, you've talked about the other side of this, and this is like what a lot of parents are dealing with all across the country is having kids at home. In fact, I saw some statistic that said, I mean, that women in general have the unemployment for women has significantly more than men, primarily because of the whole homeschooling thing. So that seemed to have been an impact on you. I think in your bio you said that you pretty much put things on hold. Is that where it still stands now, or how have you been dealing with that?
Yeah, I'll offer up a different experience. After years being a music educator, I finally gave myself permission, to pursue music production, and it was a big career shift for me, and one that I didn't take lightly. And I was so excited, and I was learning so much. And then 5 months in, COVID hit, and all of a sudden, this was my first time with the kids away from home because they had been home prior to that. I have 2 young children. And so I was really excited. I was going to get all this time to myself to learn how to produce. And 5 months in, COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, everybody's home like all the time. And, as an artist, and especially as a recording artist, you need like uninterrupted chunks of time to do your thing. And I felt this almost guilt because I had been trained as an educator. I, went to school for it, and I had a thriving career as a music educator, and I loved it. And then I started, after having kids of my own, feeling resentful of the fact that like I was overstimulated all the time. And I almost felt this guilt, like, hey, this is like the moment I've been waiting for, right? Like, I've been trained all these years to be an educator. Here's my big moment to homeschool my kids, to dive into all these cool projects. I should feel really excited about this. And I didn't. And so I think that's kind of where this like weird guilt piece came in for me, where I felt like I should want to do it, but I didn't. All I wanted to do was like go put my headphones on and be in my own world. And it was really hard. And so essentially, yes, everybody has been home all the time for like a year now. And I get snippets of time, um, little chunks here and there in between making dinner and doing, all sorts of things for everybody. And so I feel like my career has definitely been put on hold, but I am super excited that things are going to start becoming a little bit normal again. And just, I'm really interested to hear about, other people's experiences about the emotional labor involved in being a woman and being a mom and being a working individual during COVID specifically. I think there's so much to unpack in that concept.
If I can just jump in, I can totally identify with Kristen, even though I just have one daughter. She's 17, pretty much independent, but she is also homeschooling. Her school had given us the choice, and we just rather had not taken any chances with that. And I believe 2020 has kept me in the kitchen a lot longer because I'm cooking more meals than I had planned to, when I would rather, not all the time, but I would rather get more work done in the studio, and it's definitely cut down on that time. And then, I've had to shift where, being that my daughter is in school here at home, I'm doing all of my work in my headphones. Usually I'm blasting everything and making sure that things sound right out loud, but I've had to kind of turn it or internalize it and make sure that things sound the best way I can within those conditions. Um, and 2020 has also revealed that I am definitely an independent worker. I enjoy working by myself. I love to collaborate, but I'm very self-sufficient within the studio, and I've definitely picked up my game as far as knowing my way around the studio. Even though I've been doing it so long, I'm still learning a lot of things. I'm always going to be a student of this, but I realized that I can't rely on being a live performing artist like I had been doing. But I had to slow that down and, of course, take a look at what other avenues my talents can take me. And that's where film scoring had come into mind. My husband, who's also my manager, had spoken to me about it for quite a few years. And, I've always kind of shied away from it because I didn't think that I knew well enough to compose music for a film. And so he sent me some links to film competitions, and I started to take a look at them seriously and felt like I should just give it a shot and see where this might take me. And so I've entered a couple, and have these are things that are still currently working. I actually found myself composing music for small pieces of film. Like I've done something for animation, I've done something where it's a lot action, an action series. And it's been very interesting. And I'm finding myself a little bit less fearful of looking at this side that I can add to my career. And it's definitely having me exercise my skills as a arranger for strings and horns. So this is a good thing. This is one of the great things that came out of 2020, that I was able to kind of face my fears with film composing and just jump in. I mean, that's pretty much what you have to do in this business. Just jump in and see if it works for you. I'd rather go into it having to try rather than not try at all. So that's pretty much how I benefited from 2020.
I appreciate you all sharing that. And especially Kristen, thank you for sharing just the honesty about, I think the struggle that a lot of moms can relate to, parents can relate to. So I appreciate you all just sharing that aspect. And then the last question, and then we'll do one question to the panel, and then for the remaining time, we'll take questions from the audience. But last question for the panel, just talk about what you individually might need in terms of resources, whether it's something that Control Camp can offer, or just when you look at where you are now and the next level of what you want to get to, what do you see as, these are the things that I really wish I had, or this is what I'm waiting for. This is talk to me about some of the needs that you feel like you have at this point in your career.
For me, I feel like meeting a lot of the right people is a big thing, and like meeting mentors like you guys has been amazing. And learning from you guys and getting you guys to have feedback from you has been awesome. But I also think another thing is just working on my own craft and, getting really good at songwriting and producing, and then being able to show it to mentors like you guys, and then getting better and better feedback and writing better songs. So that's where it's at for me.
I feel like this is a great platform and a great community, and I want to thank you for this club that's been teaching me so much about sync, like since I started Clubhouse, which was more than a month ago, but is recent for me, and I feel like I'm coming to university again, but this time it's like Sync University, and I'm very thankful for all the great classes and information like you give. So at this point, I feel like we have all the information and all the tools like we need to succeed. It's just like Joe said, like being around like the right people at the right timing, and then just like keep creating. I feel like it's that.
Yeah,
I
go for it.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say I agree with Von D that Control Camp has been truly instrumental in giving us ideas on how to approach music supervisors and working within this industry, which is totally different from what I have been used to dealing with. And you guys have truly made it, something that we feel more confident about, going into. This is still brand new to me, even though I've had some placements here and there, but being able to create relationships, which is very important, which I didn't understand that, but it's becoming more clear. I just appreciate having this platform to share my music and to get some feedback from you guys. And I just wanted to say thank you and thank you for the encouragement that you're giving all of us. And I'm just going to say shout out to all the ladies. I really appreciate all of you. And thank you for just being a part of this.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Very welcome.
I would support all the amazing ladies on the stage, that what they say, like we have a lot of resources and it's been awesome. And I think for me, I mean, I think for in general, the fact that we keep meeting a lot of great people on this camp and on this app. So for me, for example, I feel I wanted more collaborations and I want to make them happen, and I'm starting to make them happen. But I think that's a great thing to do, to make more songs, to but like to collaborate with other people. So that's one of my wish that I wanted to. And for me, as a personal situation, I really want to, expand my my space, like to really take over a space where to really know where I should be and stay for for a while, and invest more into material to really set myself, because it's been with this COVID thing for me, it's been a bit weird because we always think, oh, it's not gonna last. I'm gonna be away in a few months, so I'm not gonna buy this. I'm not gonna buy that. And now I'm like, well, I should just buy this because I rather stay here and create more. So that's where I am right now. But it's true that the collaborations for me is one of a goal that I have for this month, for example, to create more songs with more people and keep building my catalog, and then as the others say, like we have a lot of resources, but I think the more, and I think I heard that on one of the videos that I replayed, because I can't attend all the Wednesdays, but you said like the more you build songs, the more in case, opportunity comes in, you have it, it's, and once again, it's not about making song on purpose for this, but since we all producers and we all have so many ideas in our head, the more I can have those ideas like made into songs, that's where I'm happy at. But I'm still figuring out the technique and the everything and the time and the collaborations, but that's where I want to go for this next month.
I know Kristen wanted to jump in, but I just had another. So I get these $1 million ideas and I just give them away. Daraj laughs at me because whenever it comes, I just interject and say, hey, I got a great idea. Like I had an awesome one last week about NFTs and Clubhouse invites. But Tiffany, with collaborations, and with Kristen having a struggle with time and recording, like her down tempo vibe and your French vocals would like be awesome together. And so you guys should chat about how, because while it might be hard for Kristen to record, she might be able to at least get tracks going. And then Tiffany can do vocals and you guys can have something really magical.
Yeah, totally.
I would encourage every room and every person in the audience. I see a lot of amazing producers and writers and artists in the room, and part of what we did, why we did this room tonight, is to encourage everyone in the room to collaborate with each other. That's a huge part of why Control Camp exists, is to network with each other and to be able to meet each other and form those collaborations. And I've been fortunate enough to work with Eric and Daraj and Herman and a lot of people, in this room. And I strongly recommend to the audience tonight to follow, all of the women on this stage and get to know them. And instead of just talking about things, do it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I actually started collaborating with 2 other people from this camp and Clubhouse. So it's, definitely it's, I just want to make more time, it's like you want like 72 hours per day instead of 24.
That's the struggle. So Kristen, I know you hadn't spoken yet, but let me let you get in.
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, thank you for even asking this question about resources. I think it speaks volumes as to your generosity as hosts and moderators You guys are incredible. For me, my biggest resource I'm lacking obviously is time. But in addition to that, you probably saw from my submissions that I have quite a breadth of music I do. I do contemporary, classical, down tempo, chill wave, deep house, public domain classical arrangements. So I guess for me specifically, I would love to learn, you know, those that are experienced in this industry, where and whom to talk to, specifically about each of these genres and where to pitch. I think that would be amazing just to get some specific ideas about that. That would be one of my top resources, I would say. So thank you for asking.
That is that is awesome. I took note of that. Took note of that too. I think that, and I do see you got a whole host of things you're amazing at. So we're going to help address that. Daraj, are you jumping in, or I saw you flash?
I was just gonna say, as far as the time need, we can get Kristen one of those little Doctor Strange necklaces. We just open up a portal and just reverse time for us. So we just create that. So we'll put that on our list
That's
too.
going to be, and I'll click up for next week's resource. We got that.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Daraj, you want to do a short reset while we get ready? I'll lift up hand raising and we'll spend the last 30 minutes doing, if anybody has any questions.
Yep. I'll do a quick reset. So, man, this has been a really, really insightful, encouraging, informative time. So we just thank all the ladies for being here and allowing us to, create this space for you. And, you all are doing amazing things. And so, I'm inspired. We're all inspired. And so I selfishly am just very glad you guys are part of our club, and y'all keep showing up to our club because y'all are killing it along with all the ladies that we have. So a quick little reset. Welcome to Control Camp for any new folk we have in the room. We're a community built for independent artists who are wanting to get their music in TV and film for sync licensing. I am one of your hosts, Daraj. I'm an indie hip hop artist and producer based in Orlando, Florida. Joining me are my co-hosts, Eric Campbell, producer, writer, and composer, along with Steph Fink, producer, writer, and founder of Music Box, a creative solutions company. And we do this room every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. And so we're about an hour and a half into this thing. But if you missed any part of it, don't worry, because we do record our rooms and we make them available, on our website, controlcamp.com. If you slide over to our Sync 101 page, there you'll find our Patreon, where you can, again, gain access to our past rooms. We also make and have PDF resources available, and we just cover topics from, top songwriting things requested for sync licensing, how to get your music placed, how to approach music supervisors. We've had interviews with many music supervisors from different agencies and who represent and have worked with major brands that you all will be familiar with. So definitely slide over to our website and you'll get all of that information there at a really, really low cost. And then in addition to that, if you're not following us, make sure you take a minute to click the Control Camp icon on the top left and follow us. We're doing something that we do every week after this room, our after party. So this is a time where we get to know you all a little more. We get to hang out, talk a little less about music, and just it's very what happens in the after party kind of stays in the after party. It's a fun time to say the least. But slide over there with us, but it's exclusive only to our Control Camp members. So make sure you're following us. And with that said, welcome to the camp. I want to just give as much time as we can for any questions that you may have in regards to what we've just talked about with the lovely ladies up here, and any other questions you might have in regards to the topic hand and sync licensing in general. But I'm gonna kick it back over to Eric to get us started with that.
Cool. Oh, hold on. Cool. Yeah. So hand raising is on. If you got any questions for the ladies up here, or just questions, it's the last 25 minutes, so we'll open. And there's, right now the queue's totally open. So any questions, if it's just general questions about sync, we'll entertain any questions at all. All right.
I have a question. I just PTR'd and I saw this adorable little tear-faced Daraj emoji.
I'll tell you what that's about. When the ladies, when we, Eric asked a question about the resources and just whatever needs they have and just how much they show Control Camp love, they made me cry a little thug tear. So I had to, put it on the avatar. So we love you, ladies. I had to show it. You can't see me, but that's how I feel inside.
That is so dope.
Aww, so cute.
That is special.
That was a very very specific word you used. Very specific.
That was funny.
Yeah. All right. So
Hey, Moto girl, Kristen.
Hello.
What up, Kristen?
So much. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for having this room. I'm so overjoyed to see every woman up here, and you guys are killer. Producers, engineers, artists. It's just been so great to hear from you and to hear the different experiences that you're having. So I want to just acknowledge that I love that there is a 17-year-old and all the way up to all these different experiences of life. Kristen, I know you well, and I'm so proud of you for, definitely just taking this journey of raising your children and being such an amazing, beautiful artist, and Tiffany, Angela, Vondi. So I just wanted to ask you guys, from all these different places that you come from, and Tiffany had talked about the business side of it a bit, and I face this all the time too. Like, how do you balance the business side of the work and then the creative time, giving yourself creative time? I worked with a schedule for a while. It didn't work very well because it felt like everything was always something immediate. So I'm just curious to know, you're from all different places in your career, but I'm just curious to know that.
To me, I actually do as well artist management. So the way I work is I work by time blocks, and I organize my time in a way that this week I'm only making music. This week I'm managing a release. This week I'm sending emails for one of my artists, and I'm making things come together, and I'm organizing sessions and brand deals and whatnot. So I take my time blocks and I set up goals for each of my time blocks. And when I meet the goals, then I know I can move on. That's what's been working out for me.
When I find out the answer to that, Kristen, I will let you know. But for me, I think having children at home all the time has made me really committed. Like, one non-negotiable thing that I do every day is I sit down and I produce, and I only write, and I write something new every time for like an hour a day. And sometimes it happens at night, sometimes it happens during the afternoon when I'm actually awake. But that is one non-negotiable thing for me, is to just create something new every day. And sometimes those things pan out into bigger ideas, and sometimes they don't. And I think looking at time as a cycle, like, there are cycles where you're not going to be producing as much. You're going to be focusing on the release schedule and like reaching out to blogs and all that kind of stuff. So I think thinking in terms of cycles has kind of alleviated some of that pressure of needing to have a schedule, like, of saying every Monday I'm going to do this and every Tuesday I'm going to do that. I think just accepting like these things are going to come in waves and kind of like submitting to that and like being okay with that. That's like I said, when I find the answer, I'll let you know, but that's where I'm at right now with the process.
I love that.
Yeah, I will support what Kristen said. When I figure it out, I will hopefully tell people, but I haven't yet. But I think, yeah, I agree with Kristen. Like, it comes with waves, and you have to go with it. For me, sometimes I feel the fact that I'm gonna collaborate with people, even like, for example, when I make Ocean Blue remotely with David, when we finished it, the fact that I knew that I was finishing that song that day, it would make me organize around it a bit, like with a little bit of pressure, but good pressure, like, like get my together, as we say. When I don't have someone to work with, and I just go with my flow, I try to listen to my creativity and my cycles, because I know we all have, as you say, Kristen, we have cycles when it comes. So I oblige myself to create when this comes out. But then for me, I'm still struggling. Like, I'm still beating myself up a bit. Whenever I sit and produce music and I come out of it, I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome. Tiffany, you have to do that like more. Like, and I'm still like fighting that. So but this past week that I spent in the studio, I was like, okay, now I'm back. I'm gonna have. I really need to have the business Tiffany come out a bit, like sit down for a bit and stay quiet, because the business Tiffany is too present for me right now.
Hi there, Kristen. It's Rona here. How are you? So great to see you here. It's awesome. Kristen is awesome, everybody, and we got to work together very briefly, and I'm so excited from the stuff you're doing. And I just wanted to just,
hey, Rona.
Hold on.
Rhoda, hold on 1 second, because we go in an order while we have up here. So let me just hold yours.
Do you? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. It's all good.
I don't want to jump in. I've been on a few clubhouses and people just seem to jump in. You lead the way. Let me know what you
No
do.
worries. Just hang right there. We're just going to take Holly's question, and then you'll be right after her.
Yeah, I was going to just jump in on to answer her question, but I'll bow out.
Oh, it's okay. Problem. Just stay right there. We're going.
You bet. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Holly.
Hi, Eric and Daraj. Appreciate your room as always. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Steph. I've been hearing such awesome things about everything that you do for the females. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mo hit me up and said, you need to be on this call. So I'm coming in late. Apologies. I'm running around in between appointments. So hello from Australia. And my question basically, so my background is like a dance music producer, more so in the heavy festival kind of music side. But over the last year with, lockdowns and everything, I gave Sync a crack and have been producing like all sorts of genres, pop, rock, swagger, like all sorts of fun stuff. But I really would love to get some of my dance music like into sync, and I've been obviously not seeing as much of it used as some more of the other sort of styles. So can I ask your opinion on anywhere that I should specifically be looking to, like whether it's adverts or TV or film, that you guys have really noticed that dance music, like electro EDM kind of stuff, is sort of more suitable for? Can I pick your brains on that, please?
Yeah, I think the film space has more of that than television does, but where I see it or get asked for it the most are for, and I this is going to sound trite, but it is just the truth. I find that I get asked a lot for club scenes and party scenes and scenes in movies and TV shows where, you would hear EDM in real life, so you have to remember, in film and television, they're depicting worlds that we have. So you have to think about what shows or what things, and that's almost every show. So we've been able to put a lot of EDM forward, and it's funny because it's not something I personally make, but some of that, and I say, guys, so I'm so excited to meet you, because I don't have any gals on my team who actually make it. So we're gonna chat.
Yeah.
But that's where I would say we use it the most. And I would also kind of put a challenge to you, if you're up for it, to consider crossing over into some of the pop space. So where we get EDM questions a lot, or asks a lot, I should say, is crossing over into the pop space, where there are kind of pop crossovers. There's a lot of EDM influence in hip hop. There's a lot of EDM influence in a lot of genres now. So maybe look to other artists and collaborations, especially if you could do EDM with features and things like that. Those get, picked up a little bit more too, so that would be my advice.
Amazing. Thank you. That's actually what I'm currently sort of doing with, using my electronic background with sort of more of the pop references, like, the Doja Cats and all those kind of ones. So yeah, that's really exciting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we get a lot of ask for Doja Cat, and we get a lot of, and I'll even tell you in the kids space, they're never going to say EDM. They'll actually say to you, we don't want EDM. But they always want EDM. They just won't say that. So you have to be able to kind of, Eric's flashing his mic because it happens to us constantly where they're like, do this, and they describe EDM and they don't know that they mean that, but they're like, well, we don't want EDM. And what they don't want is kind of dated
dubstep or
yeah, exactly. They don't want, they're trying to get away from dubstep and things like that, but they actually do want EDM and they just don't want, I think people also want to be, a lot of EDM producers are not cognizant of what works for sync. So that's the other advice I would give you. Make sure that your music is in a space that allows for things to be happening over it, including and especially dialogue. So if your music is really heavy on percussion or annoying sounds, even they're great for the club and you hear the, where's Koichi when I need my air horn, or things like that. You have to be cognizant of those for the sync space. So that would be my other, second thing to look out for.
And
awesome. Great advice. Thank you.
Holly, also, I'm actually looking for electronic pop producer for a collaboration I'm working on. And the singer is actually Australian. She's in Melbourne. So if you...
I'm in Melbourne too.
Yes,
wow.
So you could DM me some stuff because I'm looking for somebody actively now.
Yeah, amazing. I will do that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, cool. Rona, what's going on?
Oh, hey, how are you? Good to hear from you. And I just saw this, so I'm just sort of jumping in. Great to be part of this. Myself, I'm a musician, producer, composer. And I wanted just to jump in with Kristen's question on.
Oh, I think you dropped us something, Rona. We lost your audio.
Right when she was about to ask the question.
Yeah. Rona, can you hear us? Oh, you just muted. I think you're trying to get it situated.
I will say one more thing to Kristen's question while Rona is coming back to us, I hope. That I don't know who said it. Von D did it for a second. The time blocks thing is a really great idea. I think creating achievable goals and setting and creating achievable goals is really thing you have to do, as opposed to trying to tackle everything at once, because especially in sync, and especially in the music business, shit changes every day. See, it's getting late. New York's coming out. Stuff changes every day, and you have to be really ready to work on the fly. And I think women are especially equipped to do that, especially, and I'm not a mother, but I've seen especially a lot of mothers be able to do that, because you never know what's going to happen. But I think utilizing that skill set, of organizing, I think the difference is learning how to do that for yourself. I think you probably already have those skill sets, and especially women have those skill sets. It's a matter of prioritizing yourselves. And I think Kristen said it, Dream Tonic, Kristen said it, creating your non-negotiables, So like for me, I played piano for years and I sang for years, and then I just started sucking because I was not doing it. If you don't do something for a long time, you just stop being good at it. And I tried to take a piano course, and I was doing all these things, and it just wasn't achievable because I was getting interrupted by a lot of stuff. Then I just started saying, for 10 minutes every morning, just 10 minutes, I'm going to play the piano every day, 10 minutes. And first it was 5, then it was 10, then it was a little more. That changed everything for me. So I think making an achievable goal, even if you're writing for 10 minutes a day, if that's all you can get that in.
Such a great point.
Awesome. Rona, are you back with us?
Oh yeah. Hey, that was awesome, Steph. Just so true. Because it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole. I think Can we talk about the rabbit hole? I think we
For
all
sure.
go down the rabbit hole, and it's like when it's we need to find those little things that go, okay, stop. We're going down the rabbit hole. Maybe if we're spending more than 20 minutes on something, or we're seeing it's going somewhere else, because I just find going down the rabbit hole on things, it can be so easy. What do you guys do about when you sort of get in that situation? I'm just going to throw that one out.
I think making yourself accountable to others is really important. Like telling what your goals are to other people makes you all of a sudden, wow, like somebody else knows that I want to do this. And just to throw out there also, like a little acronym, for time management is SMART, S, M-A-R-T, specific, make your goals specific, measurable, action oriented, realistic, and time sensitive. So that's just a little thing I always keep in the back of my head. But accountability, I think, is a huge one in order to keep you on track and not going down that rabbit hole.
I love that. Eric, did somebody write this down? S.M.A.R.T. Do we get that? Do we need to repeat that? Because I think that's a really genius technique.
It's on the recording. I took notes of it too. It's
I
awesome.
forgot we record. I gotta watch my mouth. Kristen, that's a really genius thing, and being accountable is a really genius thing, and that's something I would also say for the time, not just time management, but in life. Figure out the things that you're really good at and try to find other people. You've heard me say this in this room before if you've been here. Try to find the people that do the things that you don't want to do, or do things better than you, to do those things and take stuff off your plate where you can, even if it's something small. Like I have a tech guy on my team who I didn't realize how much time I was spending on onboarding our vendors, or like getting other songwriters and getting all their metadata, and he created a form, and it's like not that complicated, but that form gives me back 10 hours a week. That's huge. So like find that little thing that you don't like doing, or that takes up a lot of time, or even a couple hours, and start to go, where can I gain a couple minutes back? Where can I gain a couple hours back? And then just start to kind of offload that where you can.
Love that. All right, last two questions from Candace. No, how do you pronounce your name? Cadence.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
Hello. Thank you so much for this room. I'm pretty new to Control Camp space. I've been able to kind of half tune into rooms because I have this show each Wednesday, so I have to go in a couple minutes, but thank you so much. It's been really cool to listen in, and thank you to the women here. Yeah, my question, I'm not sure if this is annoying or helpful, so bear with me if it's annoying. For the people on the panel, and obviously in wanting to support and champion women in what you all are doing. So I'm a songwriter predominantly at this time. Are you guys interested? Like, is it a value to you? Do you broker workout deals with people where it's helpful to you, not just the person asking? Are you open to people sending you stuff? Like, for example, I have some songs I wrote with people in camps. One is for sync, a couple are for artists. Is that something that people in this room, the women, the features, anyone, is that something that you like to have from people that might be in the audience wondering the same thing? Or is that super annoying, like when people just randomly DM you their mixtape? I was just wondering kind of what's helpful.
It's not annoying, but I would like to say that, if people don't have the time, I'm sure we all have a lot of really good people to refer you to.
Yeah, I love listening to new music, and I love meeting new creatives. At this time, I'm having like a lot of people messaging me like to work remotely, and that's only something that I do in like very specific cases. So most times I have to say no, but like Dream Tonic said, like even if I can't, I always try to like help out in whatever I can, and like make myself available to like be as helpful as possible, and like referring you to someone else, like if I can't work with you like specifically. So yeah.
I've definitely had producers come to me, singers, songwriters. So I'm coming from both sides. As a producer, people wants to send ideas or songs to me. And then as a singer, I'm being sent tracks. So I'm pretty open to collaboration, and I would hope that I could bring something to you or to your track or your song. And if I can't, then, I definitely would refer you to someone. But yeah, I mean, I get tracks sent all the time. So please feel free. Thank you.
I think a good rule of thumb for this room, outside of tonight, is if you're dropping in and you're in the audience and you're dropping in, we do have executives and, people from all walks of life and all different experience. I would say Eric's thing is also, follow aggressively, DM cautiously, which I love. And I would just always try to listen to the speakers in the room. Some people are very receptive to it. Some people are not. Everyone in this room is, generally speaking, receptive, but there are executives from larger companies that aren't allowed to receive music over DM or things like that for legal reasons, or just, unsolicited music, it's called. So just tune into the room, and the best way to do it is just to DM someone and ask politely, may I send you some music? That's the best way to do it. And then if that person says, hey, I wish I could listen, but I can't, I'm not allowed to accept it, then but you're not putting them in a compromising position by doing that. And then on the flip side, if they say, hey, I'd love to, for me, people DM me stuff all the time, and I'm like, I'm the wrong person to send music to. It's actually Jason on our team who fields all those things and then uploads them to our services so we can all, as a group, collectively hear things. If they go to my DM, they get lost, and I feel super bad. So a lot of times we have a protocol for that. That's what I would say, generally speaking, if you're just dropping into this room on any night for collaboration ideas.
Also, Cadence, just so you know, every Saturday we do a listening room at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you can go to our website now, which is controlcamp.com, spelled CTRL Camp.com, and there's a submit link. You can submit a song, and we review songs. So if you have sync songs you want to submit, it's also a cool way to find collaborators by having it played, and we'll discuss it in that room. So that's open to everybody. If especially the new people who aren't familiar with that. All right, last question. Lunacy? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, hi everybody. I'm actually Lance from Singapore. So I'm actually an Asian, so I listen more to the Chinese music, Chinese pop. But I do write. I listen to all kind of music general stuff. So I'm very honored to be here, and I'm just drop in and listen to all the great stuff.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for coming through. Is this your first time here?
Second time. Usually I'm in the audience.
Oh, appreciate you coming up and saying hi to us. Thanks.
We're happy to meet you.
What time is it over there?
It's around 10 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shoot.
Well, thank you for starting your day with us. Cool.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
It's actually about producers, collaboration, songwriters, and songwriter agreements. It's just one question, because I've been facing that for my own songs. So if your producer gets songwriter part of your song, right? For example, you did that, you decided they have 5% of the songwriting, whatever. I remember when I signed for representation 3 years ago with this sync company that was exclusive, they had them sign a letter basically saying that they give me the decision power on sync. If you don't have a sync rep, is there a document that exists that you can have those songwriter co-writer, like if they want you to be the decision maker about anything, can they give you that power through a document, or it doesn't? They still have to always be signing something, whenever something happens.
I can speak to that. You can always have, we call it a sync rep agreement. And I actually, and a lot of other people in this room, strongly encourage you, talk to your songwriting partners. It absolutely helps you to be what we call one-stop clearances or easy clear, but really one-stop clearances, which means one signatory can sign for all of the writers on behalf of everything. But you do have to, as we say, button up your business and make sure that everybody is signed off on that. So you can actually make an agreement called and ours is called the sync rep agreement. Some people call it other things, but a sync rep agreement says, hey, we're all the writers on this song. We give you the authority, Tiffany, to sign on our behalf as long as you know, whatever the terms may be. So, you know, if you get a fee for that, if you don't get a fee for that, if you're going to always split them evenly, you get to decide with your co-writers what that determines if you're going to administrate that. You can also do that with a publisher. They have administrative deals. And there's also sync reps that do just that. There's no difference between using legally, you know, using a sync rep and making an agreement with a sync rep, or having someone, a member of your band or a member of your song, be the sync rep for your, you know, song. And it's a really smart idea, because I will say this too. A lot of people will try to get away with pitching stuff when they don't have that agreement and say, oh, hey, it's totally fine for me. That writer doesn't care if I do something. That is never a thing. That is never a fact. The other writer always cares, and it will get you in real hot water if you don't have that kind of stuff buttoned up, you know, just generally speaking. So I highly encourage you try to do things like that. And, you know, look, you're asking your songwriters to put their faith and trust in you, but generally speaking, if you're making music with someone, that's a pretty intimate thing, I think. So they generally at some level trust you, but have the conversation and just be frank about it. You can also rep it non-exclusively.
No, they actually told me that they were not, you know, that I was just curious if there was an official document that I could find to have them sign or something, because that's I was curious. So that I can do a document. And is there like a place where I should take it, or I just write down, you know, like
I would have an attorney look at it for you. I would have this is one of those things, especially when you get into, you know, these sort of things. There's a lot of different terminology you have to kind of say in that. And it's, you know, one of those documents that you don't want to kind of muck around with. So I would get an entertainment lawyer. That's not an expensive undertaking to do with a lawyer. Some things take a long time. Like sync reps are very common. So any good entertainment lawyer can kind of whip one up, generally speaking, pretty fast for you.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Awesome. So this has been an amazing room, and I want to thank all ladies on the stage: Vondi, Kristen, Joe, Angela, Tiffany. Like, you're all amazing. We are fans as well as supporters, and we're just thankful that you took the time. You're all in different time zones too, and so just taking the time to just be part of this. And you've all been, like, you know, supportive of the camp for so long. And so we just want you to know that we're not just celebrating with you, but we're here to support you. We're here to help problem solve with you, and help, you know, put whatever resources need to be in place so that we can all continue progressing and moving forward. Daraj,
I love Jared's picture.
I know.
I'd love to give some props to. Oh, go ahead, Daraj. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nah, I'm trolling. I said fist bump for all the ladies.
I also want to give some love to all the guys I see in the audience and all the other women who are here supporting women. I kind of knew when we set the title of, you know, Women's Producer Spotlight, that this wouldn't be the largest audience that we have. We've actually had a really good audience for tonight, but, you know, it's one of those things that people don't always support, or they're not excited to support. But I have seen guys like Mike and Koichi and Herman and, you know, other guys in the room be here for the whole 2 hours and listen. And you know, it's not always easy also in Clubhouse to just listen and not participate, which I also recognize. So, you know, please remember, a huge part about, you know, advancing as women is having those allies. I hate that word, allies, but we haven't found a better word for it. Yeah. And so you're really important in this thing too. So Eric, Daraj, thank you for being allies, or whatever we're going to call that in the future, and for holding this space for all these amazing women, and to all those guys in the audience that I see that are, you know, constantly supporting and advancing women too. You know, shout out to you.
Well said.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. And to the women
Thank
too,
you.
Jess Ruti, I didn't even see you in there. Jess sends briefs all the time. She's really supportive. There's a lot of amazing women in this room too. I wish we had 8 million hours to, keep having this discussion.
Yeah. We're well, you can continue with us. We're going to go into the less moderated space in the after party. So if you're a follower of Control Camp, you'll see that open up in your hall once we get out of here. If you're not a follower of Control Camp, above my face there is a green house next to the word Control Camp. Click on that house and it'll take you can kind of then follow the camp there, and then that'll allow you to see the after party. Any other business? Oh, Steph is going to talk about next week. Before Steph talks about next week, you will notice that we have been saying that we have 3 co-hosts, because we do have 3 co-hosts. We want to formally say what we've been informally saying, but formally say that Steph is now permanently a co-host of Control Camp. She has been here from the very, very beginning. She has been an amazing supporter. We're on the phone multiple days of the week, just giving her time, advising the camp, contributing ideas, talking about what speakers we need to have. She's collaborated, and sent briefs to numerous producers and composers. She's at the listening sessions on Saturday and DMing with other producers and arranging meetings. She arranged a meeting for someone for one of the producers at our Saturday listening session. She arranged a meeting with Quincy Jones's camp, like just above and beyond Control Camp contributor. And we just want to say, one, we appreciate you. And we're just honored to have you as a permanent co-host of Control Camp.
You guys, now I need the little tear emoji.
Yay, Steph.
I got something to add to that.
I was waiting for it.
You guys are effing amazing. I love you all, and I love all the women on the stage, and I especially love you, Eric and Daraj. They've quickly become my team, like way beyond Control Camp. I mean, that's kind of amazing that a thing like Clubhouse, talk about the pandemic and what changed things. I got a huge expanded team because of Control Camp. So it was really the best thing that could have happened during this terrible, or it was, I hope, is the end of a terrible, terrible time. And I hope we're getting to the other side of it now. But with that said, next week, I'm going to, as my first kind of co-hosting duty, I'm hoping to come correct with a bunch of really amazing women executives to round out Women's History Month. I've got Alex Nixon from DreamWorks and Rachel Reitman from Viacom Nickelodeon, and Irene Richter, who is from Wide-Eyed Entertainment. They have Julia Michaels and Becky G. I have Alyssa Smith from Quincy Jones. We've got just Kim Baum, who is a prolific music supervisor. She was at Warner Brothers and New Line for 13 years, and now she started her own company. So it is a stage full of really incredible women executives who are all the people we all want to talk to all the time. So I'm going to drag a couple of them in. Some of them will be their first time on Clubhouse, but should make for a very fun and exciting night.
You guys have, I just want to say, you guys have such a great, generosity, and this space is so safe, and I love your vibe. And since the beginning, I always go with my guts, and I love everything about what you trying to do here. And we want to, I really thank you all, and everybody thank you, because it's very, the time we spend in this room is so helpful for us and so safe, and you guys are always available to respond. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Tiffany. We really appreciate that, and we love you all. This is a family, and we just appreciate everyone who sticks in and hangs out and contributes and just learns and listens. And so, let's all continue to grow and go together.
And let's go to the after party so I can start cursing again. It's not recorded.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna shut this down. If you're hanging with us, come over to the after party. And we don't pull people up to this. We don't pull people automatically up to the stage. Anybody who wants to come up to the stage, just raise their hand, and then that's how you get pulled up that way. So if you want to speak, anybody can speak. Just come on up and chat. No music. We don't really talk sync. We just kind of talk about everything but. All right, we'll see you over there.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
See ya.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.